Excellent, and welcome to the TAD Summit online conference. I'm really happy to have the founder CEO of Red5, Chris. Chris, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on, Alan.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. It's like we can reminisce about Flash and you being there. But let's start about talking about Red5 and what products you offer today.
Yeah, so Red5, we're known for our live real-time video streaming. And we have a platform for developers to take and make applications themselves.
Yeah,
So that's a key thing for us is we're a developer platform.
yeah.
We target individuals, but mostly startups and then enterprise customers. We have a lot of very large customers, so.
Yes.
And yeah, we have our open source core product that we build upon, and then also the Red5 Pro, which you can deploy on-prem or on your own cloud environment, and it
Cool.
auto scales on top of your own infrastructure. Or you can use our Red5 Cloud, which is more of a hosted
Yep.
SaaS model.
Absolutely. I mean, TED Summit has always been friends of the open source community. And yeah, we see those models just making it easy for enterprises, for developers of all shapes, sizes, creeds, and colors to be able to build value on top of the software that you've created. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, the other aspect we have is the SDK side, right? So
yeah,
you can build the client side apps and everything else. So yeah.
gotcha. Nope, that's clear. So, a, a common question because you're giving software away for free, open source. So how do you make money as Red 5, given part of your model is not just yeah, we've got this hosted solution and we got this cloud solution and here's the fees, but when you're giving it away for free.
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, that way, the way we've made money on it is evolved over the years. You mentioned the Flash days. We were the first guys to reverse engineer RTMP,
Yeah,
created the Red5 open source server, which was a alternative to the Flash communication server back in the day.
yeah,
And we basically quit our jobs because there was such a demand for consulting and like building apps on it.
yeah,
So that was the first model, right? We started our company around it, doing consulting, got paid pretty well actually for doing, bespoke work on
yeah,
top of the platform. But as Flash actually got phased out, we saw all these applications which relied on near real-time
yeah,
video streaming. HLS and Dash were not doing the job in terms of the web standards. And
yeah,
then that was on one side over here, kind of the broadcast stuff. On
yeah,
the other side was a emerging WebRTC spec, but they were really thinking about like, hey, let's make Skype in on the browser, right? That was like the motivation. So we saw this opportunity to like, okay, we should really add WebRTC support to our server. This
yeah,
was actually a very early version of like all of these things that started to happen with media servers providing WebRTC stuff.
yeah,
And rather than just making it open source, we decided to productize it
yeah.
and made the Red5 Pro version, which ended up adding features on top of the open source. So that's how we got started.
Gotcha.
And then quite a few years after that, we saw, other competitors popping up offering SaaS models like Phoenix, which now has kind of disappeared. They got
Yeah,
acquired. And then Dolby's product, the Millicast stuff, was
that's
also
right.
one of them. So we were like, okay, well, we probably should offer a hosted option because a lot of people don't want to deal with that. And so now we have
Exactly.
the best of both worlds, but they're both kind of built on our open source core, but with special features that you can't just get for free.
Exactly.
But that said, we also have other competitors who use our core open source work
Which is
and
great
make all.
endorsement.
So, like Ant Media, you're actually using our stuff under the covers,
Yep.
which is kind of interesting and fun. But
Well, that's the beauty of open source. Weird and wacky stuff happens like that. And the
yeah,
fact is, you can offer a variety of ways of enabling developers to use your, basically your capabilities. Because developers, I mean, it's like saying humans. everybody's different. Every developer's
Yeah.
different. Their needs are different. And giving people that flexibility, ability to modify the code themselves and get something that meets their very specific niche requirements, but has a big impact for their customers. I think it's the power of open source. I mean, I know a lot of my friends that are more commercially oriented is how do you make money on something that's given away for free? That's crazy talk. Only a bloody geek would think that's a viable business model.
Yeah, I mean it's there have been lots of very successful companies with that model in it, and it
Oh yeah,
does work. So
yes, exactly,
it's
exactly.
not even a much of a question anymore. I think it's more like which model do you want to use, you know?
I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But people that have been on the commercial side do struggle with this whole concept. But what's the difference between sort of Red 5 Pro and Red 5 Cloud? Just to make it clear so people understand those two products.
Red5 Pro and Red5 Cloud, there's not from a technology standpoint, they're exactly the same. It's
Okay.
for that we deploy it for you
Okay.
and manage it, and then we've got some nice UI on top of it,
Okay.
which continues to improve. That's something that's taken a while to get right, and I
Yeah.
still don't think we have it right because it's like constant. Um, but yeah, we're adding a lot of kind of convenience stuff there for people that they don't want to, when you run Red5 Pro in a production environment yourself, you have to deal with things like, all right, I'm going to set up Prometheus with Grafana and like all this,
Exactly.
all this extra
Yes.
stuff. You got to have your
Yep.
DevOps team doing the maintenance and updates on all the nodes, and
Exactly.
we're kind of taking care of that for people. So that's
Understood.
the SaaS offering or platform as a service offering.
Yep.
That's Live Cloud. The other one is for people that really want to control everything themselves.
Yes.
And we have a
Yep.
lot of customers in that, particularly you look at like government type work. They
Yes.
like having that. They like
Yes.
deploying on-prem. Sometimes they do it on their own like GovCloud account on
Yes.
Azure or
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
AWS, what have you. That model works well for those guys.
Exactly. And I
And then
remember Matrix, it's an open source messaging platform. Government was one of their first clients
yeah,
because they loved the platform. They were already hosting it locally, and it was just a no-brainer for them to,
yeah,
because
I must say it was very helpful for us to have the open source Red 5 because like especially Department of Defense stuff,
yes,
they had already had it running as open source in their environment. So like to go through the InfoSec kind of reviews and all that, it's like you could kind of check a box and like, well, you're kind of already running this anyway. So,
exactly. No, no,
yeah,
no. That makes it so much easier. And also they can give you the guidance. It's like, you need this bit. Here's the code we already wrote.
yeah. And that level of transparency helps too, that people feel reassured that they're not going to get cut off, right?
Yes.
They got the core of it right there. They can use it. And
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. No, no, I mean, well, let's face it, open source is the default on the web for
Mhm.
all the reasons that you're describing. So, why do customers choose Red 5?
I mean, really, it's our flexibility. I think the
Okay.
fact that you can license our software, you can host it as a service if you
Hmm.
want. You can integrate into your own products very easily.
Yeah.
Um, it's got a pretty extensive API
Hmm.
on the server side. You
Yeah.
can even write your own Java code to go into it, or like it gets pretty deep in terms of what
Cool.
you do in terms of um, things like
Because it's
that.
streaming, I mean, do you have like geographic reach, or I'm just trying to get a feel for, on the sort of on the cloud solution.
Yeah.
Is there a limitation in terms of regions covered or?
No, not really. I mean, we deploy that on top of OCI or Oracle
Okay.
Cloud
Okay.
to kind of get our breadth, if you
Yep.
will,
Yeah, yeah,
of
yeah. No,
coverage. And they have a tremendous amount of data centers everywhere and
yes.
really good connectivity.
Yep.
Um, and then pricing that works. So like oftentimes on the other hyperscalers, you really get taxed in stuff places like Brazil and others.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
OCI doesn't really play that game, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Cool.
And so yeah, we kind of piggyback on their infrastructure
Understood.
to get that global coverage.
Excellent. Oh, that's clear. And what are the top use cases that you see with your customers, and why are they using Red 5 like that?
Yeah, so one of the things that we do really well is scale both the ingest side as well as the egress, right? And
Okay.
so, like, we have use cases where there's tons of ingest streams.
Yep.
A good example of that is like traffic monitoring. Like Caltrans is a customer of
Yep.
ours, and
Okay.
California Highway, monitoring, I guess, if you will.
Yep.
You have thousands of cameras coming all in at once, and we have to scale that infrastructure to handle a lot of that. Not too many people are watching it. They go to video walls and stuff. And then if
Yeah.
it's an emergency, then obviously they're looking at that very close.
Exactly. Then becomes very focused. Yeah.
So we can scale large ingest. Others are like social media type apps and like these kind of social streaming, like where there's lots of people kind of contributing live video to the system. And then
Okay.
you've got a handful of people watching most of them. And then
Oh,
some might get really big. So we
okay.
can also fan out and scale to others. So I think so that's kind of the technology aspect of it. So then we end up dividing the kind of use cases into more serious stuff like surveillance, drone streaming,
Okay.
monitoring, smart cities, traffic monitoring, all of that kind of stuff over here.
Security side. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And those tend to be security is their like they want the streams to be locked down and not
Yep.
accessible outside of the network. So we do a lot of like air gap systems where the network is not even connected to the internet.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
there's a lot of use cases along those lines. A lot of times they're running like GovCloud or like very high security type
Yep.
environments. And then and they also tend to be a lot of ingest streams and not as many people watching them on the other side. It's not like a one to many kind of thing. And
Yeah.
then on the other side, we have entertainment, sports streaming, sports betting, um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
things like
Massive here in the US. So much sports betting on bloody Amazon Prime. But anyway.
oh man, it's crazy. They're just bombarding people with that messaging constantly.
Yeah.
And in Brazil, we just acquired a company in Brazil.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. They're great. And they were working on a live sports app, and
Yep.
we kind of brought them into our in a perfect timing because now they've just legalized last January. They legalized sports betting in
Gotcha.
Brazil, and Brazil is already like the number one sports betting place in the world. Those guys love it.
So they've
Um,
got the relationships with like a lot of the soccer matches or
Absolutely, it's all football is what they call it. Yeah, yeah, it's like go crazy. Yeah.
massive
Um,
market. Absolutely.
and it's exciting from that standpoint. A lot of kind of like social type applications. What else? Another strange one is kind of these like shopping apps too, like
Oh,
online
like
like
is that more
broadcast
in Asia
shopping.
countries or?
Yeah, it started there, but now it's starting to expand out
Oh,
across the world. It's kind of catching on.
gotcha.
It's almost like TikTok met
Yes.
a shopping app or something. Like
Yeah, yeah, because you have all these, influencers
hmm
pushing particular, and it's like I've seen like the videos, well, on YouTube Shorts where they're just showing people just going through basically product demo, product demo, product demo, product demo, and broadcasting it out to all their followers.
That's right. And then, the other stuff that we do, which is more behind the scenes, we do a
Mhm.
lot of production kind of use cases where people are monitoring the live broadcast streams and then needing to make reactions in real time as to what, like doing commercial slating, moving.
Okay.
We have a very large baseball customer
Yeah.
that does this, right? They
Okay.
run it for the commercial slating and have their crew watching these streams, and then they can react to things very quickly. And then we do a lot of like video wall monitoring and stuff with that type of use case as well.
Okay, so that's then they can insert an advertising slot into a live stream, is that?
Yeah, yeah. So like it used to be before we were involved, they would have lag in the stream, like because there's an
Yes.
HLS, probably a 6 second, somewhere around there
Yeah.
where they have something happens in the game, they're going to go to commercial break, but they thought they were going to get it right and they cut off the commentators. Like there's like a lot of that kind of guesswork that was
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And now we've kind of removed the guesswork, which is
Oh,
really
cool.
interesting.
That makes it a lot slicker. Interesting. So that helps us understand.
And then you mentioned creators. That's another one. It's like
Yeah.
the lines are starting to really blur in the broadcast space from like
Yes.
creators creating stuff like on YouTube and like TikTok and Instagram and everything else and Twitch, right? But
Yes.
now it's like, how are we taking that kind of stuff, creating it as part of the real broadcast from a professional standpoint? We're seeing things like sports commentary over like amateur commentators over
Yes.
sports games and a lot of these guys, even though they're like amateurs, right? But these are like have major followers. They're like
Yes.
really big,
Oh,
and
yeah,
in
yeah,
some cases bigger than what the broadcast is actually.
yeah.
So that's why I was saying the lines are really starting to blur on this.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. No, it's all driven by engagement. Because you see, like on YouTube, some of the amateur commentators, I mean, they're slick, they're good, because they're a geek and
yeah,
they know the history, and it's just, well, and also they can be a little bit more risque. There is the
yeah.
necessary corporate filter.
I
They
don't have
have.
the corporate lawyer saying they can't say that, right? Yeah.
So but it's to the particular audience. So now, how's Red 5 different from the other live streaming providers? And you've already mentioned, Wowzer, Agora, Ant Media, Dolby, Optiview. Just trying to get a feel for how you differentiate.
Um, Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that we're able to play on both sides, like on-prem plus
Yeah.
also, hosted
Yeah.
SaaS model. So you
Gotcha.
take like Dolby Optiview, they can only do one, right?
Yep. Correct.
You can't deploy that on-prem. It's only a service, right?
Yeah.
Um, that particular one too, they're also very invested in this HESP protocol. I think is
Yep.
interesting because I like that's sort of a tangent, but I think that's got not much life left in it, in my opinion, because of things like mock, media over quick coming out.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's also proprietary. It's kind of Dolby's model, right? They want to, they're like, I think at their hearts, they're like patent trolls, right? I mean,
Correct.
it's say it that way, but it's kind of
But
true.
it's hard because but that's
Um,
our differentiation. That's the core of who we are. And it's
right.
like, well, yeah, but I mean, look at WebRTC. It came, and we've moved on from that.
Yeah, I mean
It's
and we've never been like tied to any one particular protocol anyway. It's like
yeah,
we started with RTMP, right? Um,
yep,
and now it's just evolving, and yeah, we're actively part of the Open Mock .org group coming out and everything else. So
yep,
that's exciting to be adding mock support for what we're doing now.
yep,
But the other guys, like, look, Ant Media, they're pretty similar to us. I don't think they really have a SaaS offering yet, but I think they're working on it. I
yeah,
mean, they tend to copy what we do anyway, so I wouldn't be surprised.
yep.
And
But it's the greatest form of flattery. So
yeah, yeah, and I mean they use our open source code, so it's funny because a lot of people end up coming to us because they're reading all the log lines. It's like Red 5 or Red 5. What is this Red 5 thing? And then they're like, can you fix this? And I'm like, well, it's technically not our code. And
I know, yeah, yeah, yeah. But I've
um,
seen that happen in open source projects so many times. I mean, just in
yeah,
the telecoms example, a particular project had a carrier contact them because a large vendor was using their open source project. And of course, the reaction is, well, we're open source. I mean, here's our T's and C's. I mean, we're happy to help you. But, can you, could you make a contribution to the project?
yeah. Well, in the case of Anto, it's also interesting because they've taken like FFmpeg, another open source project, and kind of
Yes.
married it with our open source Red 5 to
Yeah.
create the WebRTC streams and other stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
But that comes at a pretty big performance penalty. And then what ends up happening is that we've had this happen a couple of times where people are like, "Oh, well, we don't need to evaluate you because we've already tried it with Ant Media," and we're like, "Well, that's not at all the same." But okay, so
Yeah, that needs a white
there's
paper. The
confusion out there.
difference between Red 5 and our media,
Yeah,
So they can, okay, because half the time they don't understand what's going on in the guts of how the protocol's been assembled.
That's right. So it's a double-edged sword, as they
Yeah.
say, right? We got both sides of that. But those guys are really nice. Two of the guys from their team ended up joining us
Oh,
for software
cool.
engineers and stuff. So I mean, we're
Yeah.
friendly with them as a competitor.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Wowza.
Yeah.
Man, Wowza's been around for a long time. They were original competitor, I guess, if you will, right back in the
Yes.
Flash days.
Yeah.
And they really let their product like kind of die on the vine for a while.
Yeah.
I know that they're actively trying to revitalize it.
Yeah.
They just acquired an AI company, and it's funny because we've announced a lot of the AI stuff that we're doing. So it seems like they're trying to move it forward. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're still pretty dominant in the government space, believe it or not.
Yes.
But
Yep.
that's because government doesn't move very fast, right?
Exactly. Oh, yeah. It takes decade plus. Absolutely. So, what are some of the things you're doing around AI with your product?
A lot of like detection.
Okay.
We've got, so one thing I didn't talk about is our true time solutions. We've got all these open source. So back to open source again.
Yep.
Uh, Applications. They're like full featured applications. We're trying to just make it so that people can just use these out of the box.
Yep.
They tie into the Red 5 service on the back end, right?
Yep.
But for the most part, you can manipulate and change it all as you see fit. Um, we're releasing a new True Time Meetings app. So it's basically like Google Meet clone or Zoom. We could
Oh,
have done this whole thing on on our platform if you wanted.
okay.
Um, and it's got live transcription in it. So we're using
Oh,
the parakeet model from NVIDIA
yep.
GPU instance running on OCI to actually do the transcriptions on that.
Gotcha.
We've got a system that on Red 5 now that it can do frame extraction. So either audio or video,
Hmm.
hand it off to a model, and then it can do analysis on it and then send back data back.
Cool.
We're doing a lot of things like detection in a live video. So if you go back to the traffic use case, we can detect fires in the scene. So detect forest fires really early on.
Yeah.
You can look for anomalies in like somebody's got a gun in the scene or like all kinds of other stuff.
Okay.
Broadcast use cases, stop people from flipping people off or nudity or like
Exactly. All the
learn
usual.
instantly, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So we're getting involved a lot in the kind of live video detection, and we're
Yeah.
using a lot of VLMs and large language models to do this work because you just tell it, it's a really interesting thing. You basically, hey, look for this in the scene. You can use human language to tell it what to do,
Yep.
respond back in JSON for me, and it's so that I have a formatted message back
Yep.
that can tell me what's going on in the scene. And then we just route those to the applications and then people can see what's happening. And in
Yep.
some cases, in the case where you want to blur something out, then we manipulate the frame coming back in. And we have this
Ah,
whole
gotcha.
media engine we wrote from scratch called Cauldron,
Hmm.
write brews for it, which
Yep.
basically do these things. And it's like a C++ API that you can use to do this stuff. So,
So it
yeah.
works in real time.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's really interesting. Excellent. This has been
Yeah.
insightful, fun, and it's a great example of yay, open source.
Yeah, and I actually did a talk on that very subject on the AI use cases for the RTC On conference, which was a really great conference, a little one out in
Yep.
Krakow,
Oh,
Poland.
yeah. No, no, I know. Yeah. Yeah. When it began. So
Yeah,
it's a great conference.
and a
Absolutely.
video of that talk is up now, so you can probably go find
Oh,
it.
it's on your site, or is it over on the
Or it's up
RTC?
on their site. So
No,
yeah,
no problem. I'll include a link when I do the write-up for this, which I'll hopefully get done later today. So, hey, Chris, this has been
awesome, man. Thank
great.
you.
Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, likewise, Alan. Take care.
Bye-bye.